Entering this season, and I'm sure I could speak for the whole fan base, I feel like this was the most excited we've been in a long time for some Penguins hockey. Just with everything that was done in the offseason, Kyle Dubas coming in, it felt like some kind of culture change. He brings in Erik Karlsson. You know, the expectations were pretty high. We were all excited. And obviously, it's only October. We haven't even escaped the first month yet. There's still 76 games left. So everything that's said in this video could be irrelevant in about a month from now or 2 months from now. But still, 6 games into the season. And it just feels like, is this the same old Penguins team that we saw last year? Because to start, obviously, it's not the prettiest 2-4 record, 3-game losing streak. And they have shown a lot of signs of last year's team. I mean, it's never good when you start your season looking like last year's team, blowing that 2-0 lead to Chicago. And throughout the 6 games so far this season, we've seen some good, we've seen some bad, but I think what's worrying a lot of fans is we've seen a lot of the same problems that have been hurting the Penguins, not only last year, but the last few years. You know, things like the bad bottom 6, bad defensively, not playing the full 60, etc. This is things we've seen before, and we've seen it in the first 6 games of this season. Now, my question, and I'm sure a lot of our question, the question of the video, is this the same old Penguins team? Is this the same team like last year? Is it even worse? Just judging off the first 6 games, many fans will tell you, yes, it's the same team, expect the same result. And my answer to this question, and basically what I'll be speaking about in this video, is yes and no. I do believe that there is signs of the same Penguins team like last year, but my answer to that question is it's not identical to last year, and I don't think it'll go down the same way as it went last year. First things first, I'm going to start with what I think is the biggest problem, and it is almost identical to last year, and that is the bottom 6. Man, those damn third and fourth lines, I'm just asking, what does a brother got to do to get some decent third and fourth lines on his favorite hockey team? I look back at that 2016 team, and we had a whole first line back there, and we thought that was normal. Last year's bottom 6 was really, really bad, and I didn't think it could get any worse than that. And it might just be even worse this year. And honestly, I misjudged that bottom 6. I thought it was a lot better than it looked like. It looked good on paper, or not good, but it looked decent on paper. It looked like it would be an upgrade over last year on paper. I liked Dubas's idea of bringing a more defensive-minded bottom 6 with what they had to work with. So, they signed a bunch of Ellers, Acharis, Nietos. And I thought, okay, not scoring in the bottom 6, we're used to that. But at least they'll be great defensively. And yes, they're kind of okay defensively so far. Not great, not terrible, but I'm going to go back and kind of eat my own words. I think I'm wrong. It can't just be good defensively. They need some scoring in there. I thought it would be low scoring. I didn't know it was going to be this bad. That bottom 6, man, it's so important. You need your bottom 6 production. I'm not asking for HBK. I'm not asking for 2-3 goals a night. We need a goal here and there. Now, again, it could change. They could click. They can get hot. Or they can make a trade. Something can change the bottom 6, and it changes the whole course of how this team plays. But I'm saying, if the bottom 6 is how we have right now, I believe this team will be worse than last year. This is a Penguins team who can't fall behind. They can't. They cannot fall behind, because once they fall behind by 2 goals, it's over. Because you're asking your top 6 to score you 3 goals just to tie the game and get the lead. Now, what's to say you're not going to allow any other goals? To me, once you go down by 2, it's suicide for this Penguins team. You saw it versus Detroit. You saw it versus St. Louis. Again, we've seen it a lot this year already in just 6 games. When you're down in games, I think it's over, because the bottom 6 is not scoring. They're not. They're just not. So you're asking your top 6 to tie the game up, and then hopefully they score another one to get the lead. And like I mentioned, all that with hoping that you don't allow any more goals. So you're telling me you can't win when you're falling behind because you can't score. You can't win when you're up because you're going to probably blow the lead. There's a lot of problems in the beginning of this season. And now, other than the bottom 6, another thing that I've noticed a lot is, comparing it to last year, is they're still playing really lazy, these poor defensive choices they be making. Not all game, but if you look at all the goals that the Penguins have allowed, it's always due to some kind of lazy or just not hard on the puck, misjudge, not covering your guy, something where it could have been prevented. And it's like they forget to play defense just for 10 seconds, and that's enough to get the puck behind in your own net. Because I'm not going to call the Penguins garbage defensively, because they show signs where they play well. You're like, oh, this is a good structured team who's playing like a team that should maybe make the playoffs. So you'll go 10-15 minutes of great defensive play where you're like, okay, and then it all gets ruined because it just takes 10 seconds where the defenseman's not covering his guy in front, everyone's scrambling, they look lost, bad defensive play, bad turnover, whatever it is, just for 10 seconds, and the puck is in back of your net. It doesn't matter how good defensively you are. You could be the best defensive team for 55 minutes, but those 5 minutes of stupidities that you do is enough for you to allow those 5 goals or 4 goals. So again, I'm not looking at this team's defensive play. I'm more looking at these random moments of pure stupidity that they have. And I've noticed it over the last few years. After 6 games, I'll say that the least of their worries is goaltending. I do think goaltending has looked better in the first 6 games this year than it has looked last year. I'm not saying the goaltending is great, but I don't think it's their problem right now. And I do think the goaltending has given the Penguins a chance in mostly every game in this short season so far. Again, I don't think goaltending is the issue. I believe if the Penguins fix up the team in front of them, this goaltending tandem, I think, is good enough to get you in the playoffs. Now, in the playoffs, I'm not speaking anymore. I don't know. Can this goaltending tandem win you a playoff series? That's a video for another time. But can this goaltending tandem get you in the playoffs? My answer is yes. The team in front of them, can that team get you in the playoffs? I'm not really sure. Now, I have a few solutions that might help, right? As a fan, we all have our opinions, what can help the team, opinions that Mike Sullivan probably will never use, but we can still offer them as fans. Now, first of all, and I've been saying this for so long, maybe some line changes. And I don't mean line changes like put Raquel with Crosby or whatever. I want a full-on blend the whole lineup, delete, start over. Obviously, we have 2 great lines and 2 terrible lines. Why not just try it? Why not mix and match? I don't think Drew O'Connor or Zohorna or whoever you would put with Malkin or Crosby drags them down that much. And I think guys like Raquel, Smith, Gensel, whoever you want to throw on the third line, Rust, those guys elevate that third line, I think. I think it's a win-win. Now, Drew O'Connor, Radim Zohorna, guys like that, are they first and second liners? Absolutely not. Are they NHL players? I'm pretty sure they are. And if you have NHL talent, you could play with Sidney Crosby. You don't have to be a superstar to play with Crosby. We've seen that through his entire career. Now, that is a dream of mine. I would love to call up guys like Poulin and Puustinen and whoever's down there, some young legs, bring them up. I don't think that's going to happen, and no problem. But why can't we just try with the current 12 forwards we have now, just mix and match? I just want to see what would happen. What would it be like throwing guys like Rust or Raquel or Smith or Gensel, whoever you want, but throw them on the third line with Lars Eller, who I think, give Lars Eller 2 top 6 wingers, all of a sudden, Lars Eller is a pretty solid third line center. Now, if that's not going to happen, the next solution, obviously, maybe a trade. But when I look at potential trades, where's the salary cap coming from and what are you giving up? So it's really hard. The Penguins have no cap. The Penguins have no assets. So what, they're going to trade next year's first? Okay, do that. With what cap? What are they trading out? Pierre-Olivier Joseph? That's possible. Maybe a Jeff Carter would be amazing, but it's really hard to make a trade this early into the season, especially to make a trade that's actually going to impact the team. And then maybe another solution, if a trade or changing the lines aren't possible, and this one's going to maybe get some people upset, this one's quite the bomb. Not yet, but maybe you look at a potential coaching change. I know that's pretty crazy, and believe me, this is the first time I've ever said this. I haven't been bringing up firing Sullivan. I've never brought it up, but not yet. If this team is out of the playoffs by December and they decide to fire Sullivan, I ain't gonna say anything. I'm just gonna let it happen, because I do feel like there's a lifespan for coaches, and Mike Sullivan's been here for 9 years, damn near a decade. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing what a new voice can do to this team. Don't get me wrong, I love Mike Sullivan, and if he's fired tomorrow, he's still one of the greatest coaches, or the greatest coach in Penguins franchise history. And it just seems like you have a coach who's amazing. Great system, and a team that fit that system perfectly. Won 2 cups with it, but then look, the team just left that system. Not because the system was the problem, but the team changed and got older and got slower, and just, it's different. We don't have Carl Hagelin on the third line anymore. We don't have a speedy fourth line. We don't have speed all over the lineup. So that's not Mike Sullivan's fault, but sometimes a different scenery behind the bench might be the solution, believe it or not. And I hate that I'm saying this, because I don't want Mike Sullivan fired, but it might be a solution. Woo. Don't you love the hot takes in October? Watch the Penguins win 10 in a row starting tomorrow. And this video looks like the dumbest video ever. But that's what the beauty of sports is. That's the beauty of hockey, is that everything changes from October to after New Year. And again, that's my next and final point is, hey, maybe it's still very early. Let's wait and see. Maybe this team actually starts clicking, and next thing you know, they're well above 500 by the time December hits. again, these are just my opinions on what we've seen so far. I'm not saying fire Sullivan. I'm not saying trade everybody. I'm just saying if this continues, what I would look for, what I would like to see. And again, the bottom six, maybe they gel, they get better over time. That is possible, because if you remember last year, the bottom six was pretty solid in the beginning. McGinn was scoring goals. We had Kapanen, who started off pretty okay, and then they just kind of fell down, and that's why the Penguins sucked so bad in the second half of the season and missed the playoffs. So if you're telling me it's the opposite this time and we're going to start here and then slowly go up, I'd much rather take that. So that's also an option. And I think the biggest dark horse that I didn't even mention in this video is Erik Karlsson. He's looked pretty human-like to start the season so far. That's not going to last for much longer. Let the guy get used to his new team. Let him gel with the guys. It's a different scenario from going to a garbage Sharks team where he was the team. They probably gave him the green light to do whatever he wanted. Go be a forward if you want, because we're the last place team. We're not going to do it. We're not going to yell at Karlsson for not playing defense. But now Erik Karlsson has to follow a system. He doesn't have the free or the green light to do whatever he wants. So maybe that's why we haven't seen him take off just yet. We've seen glimpses of it, but I think give him a few weeks to a month or two, and Karlsson's going to go back to Erik Karlsson. And when that happens, it's just going to take off. I do believe that if we are a little bit more patient, this team will get better with time. But that's the beauty of sports, man. The fans, us, we talk. We love to talk. We love to make conversation. And that's pretty much what this is. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about the disappointing season so far. 2-4 start for the Penguins. What do you think has gone wrong for this team? Do you think there's a chance they come out of this and are a lot better than they were last year? Or is this the same old Penguins, if not worse? And will we get another disappointing season? I'd love to hear all that in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.